Yo, what's up boys? It's Betta-ah here with the Arachnophobia Herald of Agony Guardian build guide that face tanks almost all of the content comfortably with a decent amount of damage and clear speed. Our budget for this build is at around about 15 divans. However, as some items are not widely available, you would expect to spend around about maybe 20 divans, but luckily some items are cheap and easy to craft. Content wise, you can expect to clear out all juiced mapping, Maven Witness Guardians, Pinnacle bosses and invitations with 100% quantity or even more, along with Shaper, Cyrus, Vortex, Uber Alder I also did, and Maven as well pretty comfortably. Wave 30 simulacrums and 100% delirious mapping can be done, but do just be warned that it takes a really long time because our DPS is not high enough in order to clear them really quickly. With this being said, the build cannot do Uber content for this very reason either. This is the third video of a 4-video series, with the first being a leveling and life setup on 120 chaos budget that does mapping and early guardians pretty comfortably. Second is the early CR transition of the build, which is set at around about a 4 divan budget that clears all of the bosses comfortably, and the fourth video will be for Ubers and easy wave 30 simulacrums with plus minus around about 50 divan investment. This very build is based off of the Arachnophobia All-Stars by Chromino, who has an excellent written guide on the forums. You can find all of the links down below in the description. And while you're at it, drop a like on the video and subscribe for more guides and live streams that I do of me setting up the builds and while I test them before I make the videos. The build is based off of the Agony Crawler from Herald of Agony itself. For each time you poison an enemy, you will gain 1 Virulence charge. Each Virulence gives the Agony Crawler 6% attack speed, 11% increased physical damage, and 120 to 220 flat physical damage. So we scale the gem level up to 29 in order to take advantage of these massive bonuses. As we cannot attack or cast very quickly, Stormburst and Purifying Flame linked to a cast while channeling with chance to poison, and the Golden Rule duel doubles the amount of poisons we apply and allows us to keep the virulence stacks up as best as possible as we are applying poisons in quick succession. The standard maximum amounts of stacks that you can have is set to 40, so to increase that, 4 medium cluster jewels with pure agony are used to push it up to 60. This gives a massive boost in the agony crawler's damage. Spiders are also utilized to apply wither debuffs for, I think it's 90% increased chaos damage taken, while giving our speedy, okay-ish clear speed while mapping, as the crawler really does excel at single target and not clear. And from all of this, we're able to achieve about 6.5 million pinnacle boss DPS. You can probably push it to about 7 million. Defensive wise, we are one hell of a tanky boy, having 88 ores, a massive amount of armor for both physical mitigation and insane sustain from our Aegis Aurora 2, a large energy shield pool with chaos and elemental ailment immunity, capped block with Bastion of Hope up, and 100% increased global defense coming from Skin of the Lords. As an oh shit button, Vol Molten Shell is used and paired alongside Frost Shield for a crazy boost in damage. Well, not damage, in defense, having up to 30,000 physical and 150,000 elemental mitigation. So for the playstyle of the build, it is super chilled, as all you do is just pretty much run around channeling Stormburst on packs of enemies. And you must just ensure to pop your flesh offering on occasion for the extra attack speed while managing your spider uptime, and obviously flame dashing for utility. And then on bossing, the exact same thing applies, just with the use of Frost Shield and Vol Molten Shell offering insane mitigation. One downfall, however, is that the Agony Crawler and the spiders get stuck sometimes, and they don't attack, so adding Convocation maybe instead of Frost Shield if this grinds your gears. So with applying poisons to gain virulence stacks, you've got 3 choices of skill setups. You can use Stormburst with cast while channeling and chance to poison and Purifying Flame. This is the best setup as it applies poisons quickly and it gives us curse immunity plus some regeneration. Then there is a Winter Orb linked to chance to poison, faster casting, and GMP. This setup allows you to be more mobile during mapping and bossing, and it also builds poisons quickly. However, it's not as comfortable. And then lastly, for the third choice is Stormbrand, Ball Lightning with faster casting and chance to poison. This is the best setup probably for mobility, but it takes a lot of mana, so it's not ideal on bossing, and this should be used with the Ruin Binder Keystone. Alright, so now just quickly covering how you summon your spiders. Obviously, you'll just want to desecrate about 2 to 3 times, channel your Stormburst, Winter's Orb, or Stormbrand, and then just hit your Wrathing Jar, and boom, you've got all of your spiders. As a cool mapping tip, while you are mapping, if you just throw Desecrate down on the packs of enemies, you or your minions' poisons, when they do kill an enemy, it will end up refreshing the duration of the spiders. And then for a quick bossing tip here, if you Desecrate twice on yourself, so once and twice, and then once away, typically on top of the boss, then you'll be able to channel on yourself and pop the Wrathing Jar to resummon your spiders. This is so that your Agony Crawler does not kill the worms that come out of the Wrathing Jar. And then also on bossing, to make things really easy, if you use Soul of Rizlatha, it will continuously give you flask charges for the Wrathing Jar, making things a lot smoother on boss fights for you. The most important thing about putting the entire setup together is the fact that Melding of the Flesh reduces all resistances by between 70 and 80%. And now in order to recover from this loss, you should make sure that you pick up a rare ring that has got at least 160% total resistances, along with your boots, belt, and your gloves having between 70 to 80% total resistance as well. And of course, you must make sure to use catalysts for resistances on your belt and your ring should you be missing any. And also a very important thing is to have some resistances on some of your clusters as well. This will just make things a lot easier in trying to fit in all of your total resistances. In order to get 100% ailment avoidance as well, we make use of the Crystal Skin Anoint, which gives us 20%, along with our Shield Mastery over here, which gives another 20% to avoid elemental ailments, and then another 25%, which comes from the Arcane Sanctuary node right here. And then lastly, for the other remaining 35%, we get from our boots, which is actually 45% in total, from the implicit, which is from Eater of Worlds, and then the crafted Avoid Elemental Ailments. I do just want to quickly note that should you not have enough reservation for the build, or for whichever reason, you can switch out your Anoint from Crystal Skin and instead use Charisma. However, what you really want to do then is to ensure that your implicit on your boots is 30% to avoid elemental ailments and not just 20%. Alright, so in order to fit all of your auras, you must have Pure Gale along with Self-Control and Uncompromising on the small clusters, which have got mana reservation efficiency on them as well. And then this is then paired with the Energy Shield Mastery for reservation efficiency of Discipline, and the skill tree nodes, which is all of these over here going towards Sovereignty, and then the one just before Influence, and then your Circle of Nostalgia, which should be catalysts with life and mana modifiers to bring up the total mana reservation efficiency that it provides above 40% at least, is what you should have. And then on your belt is a Corrupted Implicit Jewel with 2% increased reservation efficiency of skills. Very lastly is the level 3 Enlighten linked to Tempest Shield, Purity Vice, and Determination. I do just want to note that if you do not have all of these set up exactly as it is, you will not be able to fit in all of your auras. And you must ensure that you have the 2% belt jewel, as you need at least 56 mana to cast everything. Right, moving on to how we achieve 88% aura resistances. This is from all of the aura effect nodes on the skill tree, along with the 5% one here from the Ascendancy as well. And then we are running a level 21 Purity of Ice, and this is then paired with the Outreach Implicit on the gloves. While a unique enemy is in your presence, you gain 2 to maximum cold resistance, and our Aegis Aurora also gives 5 to maximum cold resistance. This enables us to get up to, I believe it is 84 or so, and then 85, and then obviously for the other 3%, we make use of a Impossible Escape, which is over here by Unwavering Stance, in order to allocate the maximum cold res and the Prismatic Skin over here, allowing us to have 88% or resistances. Okay, just moving on to the path of building real quick. You can find the link down below in the description. However, underneath the notes section, you can find everything that I just pretty much broke down, from the Virulences Skills spiders, the Melding Ailments, Reservation, and the All Res. And then I've also included some crafting over here for your gloves, boots, belt. And then of course, if you're a lazy person such as myself, I've included all of the trade links for everything for you guys, just to make it a lot easier on you. In terms of the Pantheon, for bossing, you will want to run Soul of Solaris for the extra fizz reduction and the 20% chance to take less area damage, along with reduced elemental damage and no extra damage from critical strikes if you're a crit recently. And then of course the Soul of Rizlatha for the 3 charges every 3 seconds for that awesome sustain during boss fights. For mapping, I would recommend to use Soul of Lunaris. Once again, physical litigation and reduced elemental damage, but more so for the avoid projectiles that have chained. And then I would use Soul of Aberrath for the unaffected by Burning Ground and movement speed on Burning Ground. This is a pretty much optional one. You can choose any that you see fit. Moving on to our Ascendancy, compared to the first and second videos, nothing has changed. However, I do just want to note that while mapping, you should respec out of Bastion of Hope or even Radiant Faith to grab Time of Need for the reduced effective curses on you, and then pair this with the Mastery for the other 20% so you are curse immune. Otherwise, nothing else has changed on the Ascendancy. Everything is still exactly the same. We're just gaining extra damage and block, some resistance, and some energy shield. Nothing all too special there. Alright, just quickly going over our keystones and everything with the skill tree. We are using Iron Reflexes on our Skin of the Lords. The reason why we're using this is so that all of our evasion rating is transferred to armor, which gives us a hefty amount of 70,000. This is best used while bossing. Of course, if you just want to be a mapper, you can go ahead and grab the Ghost Dance Keystone. However, this is very expensive. And then I'm running Leith Shade. This is very important for bossing, as you take less damage over time. And it's very valuable, such as on Uber Outer fights and Shaper and stuff like that, where they have got a lot of degens. And then of course we are CR, and then I'm now using Wicked Ward 2, for if you were damaged recently, your energy shield recharge is not interrupted, just for some extra sustain. And we are still using the Divine Shield for the 3% physical damage prevented from hits recently is regenerated as energy shield, once again, for even more sustain. And then, of course, I've covered all of the reservation and that stuff. For your medium clusters, what you want to have on them is Cult Leader and Pure Agony. This gives more minion damage and increases those maximum virulences too. For your large cluster jewels, for one of them, what you want to have is Mage Hunter and Conjured Well. This bumps up your spell block chance by an extra 10%, which is really beneficial for the build. And then for our other large cluster, just making use of a minion one for the Court of the Slaughter for extra damage, and the Renewal giving our minions a 5% chance to deal double damage, which is obviously mostly for the Agony Crawler. Other than that, we're just using some extra minion damage, some armor and stuff. Nothing too special all throughout the skill tree. Pretty much all the same from the previous videos. And if you have not seen those videos, I highly recommend that you do go and give them a look. The links are down below in the description for you. And then just lastly is our Watchers R with the modifier gain 24 energy shield per enemy hit while affected by discipline. This is very effective and gives us a huge amount of sustain, especially while we are channeling Stormburst and that, as we are hitting the enemies really often. So every single second, I guess you can say, we're gaining about 100 energy shield on hit, which is really, really good for the build overall. Alright, just moving over onto the gear real quick, guys. We're using the Oracali's Fang for the raised spiders and the Eva's Unification for the Void Gaze skill, giving an extra about 15% more damage. And the Herald of Agony has increased mana reservation efficiency and enchants on it. Very, very important. I actually forgot to mention that underneath the reservation. Ull's Amulet, whereby Grace has got no reservation efficiency as well. Very, very powerful. Gain some extra Flask charges and a little bit of dexterity and all attributes. Overall, it just helps us out on the attributes. And then is the Aegis Aurora shield here that is corrupted with the implicit grants level 23 Grace skill. You should look to get one of these, as the build overall is socket starved because we need to fit in a lot of skill gems and that. So this does help out a lot. And then we gain that insane recovery each time we block, along with some extra little bit of resistances. In terms of the boots, you should have ones with high movement speed, that 80% total elemental resistances, and the avoid elemental ailments. Very, very important there. On your gloves should be as high as possible with the energy shield, along with resistances and dexterity 2, maybe even strength. You can pretty much swap them between the belt and the gloves, as the belt has got strength and high energy shield, along with quite a decent amount of resistances. You should also try and get armor on your belt, however that will probably be pretty expensive. I do just want to quickly note that with the jewel in the belt, you should probably get a immunity to corrupted blood, especially for your Cyrus fight. Otherwise his beams will degen you and kill you pretty quickly. Circle of Nostalgia for the Agony Crawler damage and mana reservation efficiency. And then is our Juicy Ring over here that has got 162 all res. And then obviously if you catalyst it, it'll be like 172 or so. Lastly, for the body armor is just the Skin of the Lords with iron reflexes, giving the extra global defenses, evasion rating as extra armor. Right, and then real quick, just for the gems. On the spiders during bossing, you'll obviously want to use multi-strike, but while mapping you just pop in melee splash. You can on the skill tree also take out this mastery right here and allocate minions have increased area of effect should you want to have a little bit more clear, and then an anomalous withering touch just for the extra chaos damage and the unbound ailments here. And then in the helmet is the enlighten, linked to tempest shield, purity of ice and determination. In the shield I've got molten shell for the insane mitigation that we receive, flesh offering, which obviously gives the increased attack speed to our minions, and then flame dash for our utility. In the boots, I've just got Sniper's Mark. This gives increased damage from projectile hits, mostly for our Agony Crawler. And then Desecrate 2 as the only means of generating corpses during bossing. And then I've got the Frost Shield here too. If you find yourself not really using Frost Shield while bossing and that, you can swap in Convocation, or like for instance during mapping too, just to make things smooth on you. And then I've got the Discipline Aura here as well. And then in the gloves, I've got a Purifying Flame linked to Storm Burst, along with our Chance to Poison and our Cast while Channeling. So while you are busy channeling your Storm Burst, it will keep on casting Purifying Flame. This gives Consecrated Ground, and yeah, it just gives us our overall really, really good sustain. In terms of in the body armor is still Herald of Agony, now with awakened minion damage for the +1 to level of supported skills, and then a Vile Toxins. If you want more clear speed in mapping, you can swap out Vile Toxins for a PS support that will make it a little bit easier on you. And then a awakened Void Manipulation here for the +1 to level of supported chaos skill gems, along with our level 3 in power for the 4 to level of active skill gems. And then lastly is the awakened vicious projectiles for the more physical and projectile damage that it provides our Agony Crawler with. Lastly is the Flasks. During mapping, I opted to run a Quicksilver with a Jade and a Sulfur whereby it has increased armor, evasion rating, and immunity to bleeding with the gain 3 charges when you're hit by an enemy. As you don't have any evasion rating from iron reflexes, it is very, very good being hit, because then we can gain a lot of flask charges really, really quickly. And then, of course, is the Arumi's Concoction, just for the extra attack and block chance, and then our trustworthy Wrathing Jar for summoning our spiders. I do just want to note that for most bossing, you should probably switch out your flasks and that for a sapphire, ruby, and topaz like I have here. This is just so that you take a lot less damage during bossing and that. That's the correct one there. But yeah, overall, these flasks do help out a lot in terms of elemental mitigation on bosses such as like Shaper and Uber Alder. It also does help out pretty well on Maven and that. Overall, during invitations as well, I would also recommend that you use these ones just to make things a lot easier on you. Alright, and I think that is everything for the third video. I hope I managed to cover everything in somewhat decent detail for you. And should you have enjoyed the video, drop a like down below if you haven't yet. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with my latest videos and live streams that I do of progressing the builds before I create the guides for them. Otherwise, thanks for watching, Exile, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream.